Oh, blimey, I should have tested that before I did it. Oh, anyway, Hideo freaking Kojima. Hang on. That's better. So, yeah. Sorry for no video last week, but that's what happens when no news happens. Technically, no news happened this week. I didn't want to touch on the whole Iwata thing, because a lot of other people that know a lot more about that have already touched on it. Go and find their content. It is much better than what I could do, but, you know, thank you, Iwata-san. I know we've done a lot of criticism at you, but your contribution to the industry has been great. What I want to talk about is... Yeah, that's getting too sweaty. Hideo Kojima. Yeah, apparently this word, this phrase is banned. It's not allowed. You can't have it anymore. Why do I say that? Well, the news came this week, like we all feared, is that all reference to Kojima and Kojima Productions has been pulled from the box art for the upcoming Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. Which is understandable because of the situation. We've also had word this week from the Japanese voice actor for Solid Snake that the production company, Kojima Productions, it doesn't exist anymore. It's basically dead. So I guess everything that's happening now is being done internally within Konami with the support of Kojima. That E3 trailer with the New Order music and that little short thing and the last two gameplay showcases that happened, the one showing the E3 demo and the one showing the multitude of different ways you can do the E3 demo. That is the last thing you are ever going to see from Kojima by Konami. I don't want to say ever by Kojima, because I want him to make more games. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of ideas up in his head that would be bloody awesome to see. I would say that. But it's just the fact that apparently, you know, Konami thinks this is a name which shouldn't be attached to the project. Sadly, of course, this technically isn't the first time that this has happened with Kojima. We have to go all the way back to 1980. 87 it came out for the MSX. We have to go to the original Metal Gear from 1987. The MSX version was very popular, and a lot of interest was sought for it internationally. So, Konami ported it to the NES, the Nintendo Entertainment System. And Kojima has openly said he doesn't like the port, because they changed quite a few big things. I don't think the cigarettes were actually even in the game. Because, they didn't want to associate that with that sort of lifestyle. You know, he's an active soldier. The bit at the start where you see him parachuting in with 3 other people, where did they go? Were they even there? Did they just die because their parachutes failed or something? I don't know. You never know. And then, that was the 88 or 89. But, another studio, I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I did all the research for it, so I'm stupid. Another studio wanted to do another Metal Gear game. Konami gave it the go-ahead. Again, this is all without Kojima. And they made Snake's Revenge, which is a pretty good game. But the great thing about that is, even the developers of the game didn't consider that at all as the actual sequel. They knew the only thing that made a Metal Gear was the involvement of Hideo Kojima. Sorry if I keep saying that name a lot, but I'm trying to make up for it because Konami doesn't want it mentioned at all. I wouldn't be surprised if when the review embargo is lifted at the towards the end of August before its September 1st release date, there was literally stuff in the embargo saying limit as much mention as you can to Hideo Kojima. I wouldn't be surprised because that's the way clearly Konami thinks. That you can just attach the name Konami to Metal Gear. That would be really good. Well, Metal Gear for the NES wasn't as good as the original. Snake's Revenge, even by the developers, wasn't considered as canon. So when Metal Gear 2 came out, that was your proper thing. And technically, all the other Metal Gear games, I believe, have had the support or the involvement with Kojima. Your Metal Gear Acid games for the PSP, Metal Gear Ghost Babel, which I think was I can't remember exactly, but it was widely praised for the time as being a really good handheld game, yet alone a Metal Gear game. I don't think Kojima wasn't directly involved, but it obviously was under his watch because it was his franchise. That's the thing that, Konami may have the Metal Gear name, but if you think of Metal Gear and people associated with it, I'm not talking characters in the game like Solid Snake, Big Boss, all that. If you say Metal Gear Solid or Metal Gear to anybody that's a gaming enthusiast, the first thing they're immediately going to think of, again, aside from characters and everything, is Hideo Kojima. It's been his vision since, nearly 30 years. In fact, actually, this was the irony of me looking into it. Last Sunday, the 12th of July, was the 29th anniversary of the game's release. It came out 29 years ago. Oh no, sorry, 28. Stupid. 28 years. So, nearly 30 years. For 30 years, it's been his franchise. Even Revengeance, which was, I think, supposed to be something completely different. Metal Gear Rising Revengeance. That was still him involved. Even though it was more of a Platinum game style, beat 'em up, slice 'em up, whatever you want to call it. It wasn't a Kojima Productions thing, but it was involved with the input of Kojima. So after all this, we still get to this crux point. How are you going to continue the Metal Gear franchise without him involved? It's whoever takes over. Think of the pressure that is going to be on their shoulders. There was a lot of criticism, admittedly, for Metal Gear Solid 2, because people didn't like the Raiden character. But if you look at it in the whole span of the games that he's been involved with, pretty much all of them have been considered very good in their own terms. The original 2 Metal Gears for the MSX, very good. The Metal Gear Solid franchise, all considered to be excellent. Best games of their platforms, arguably. I mean, admittedly, 2 and 3 came out on the same platform. But regardless, what I'm trying, the point I'm trying to make is that, they were very widely and understandably praised. The PSP games. Now, some would say Peace Walker on the PSP, and admittedly it's now on consoles via the HD collection, some would say Peace Walker is one of the best Metal Gears of them all. Because it takes your established franchise but mixes it in with sort of a tactical strategy sort of thing. By managing resources and everything. So much so that this is now being incorporated into what's coming with Metal Gear Solid 5. You're sort of getting Peace Walker mixed with your Metal Gear Solid gameplay. Yeah, in a lot more direction than it was on the PSP, because obviously PSP was mainly built for short bursts of missions and things to do. Because not everybody is going to be stuck to a portable thing all their life. As everybody looks at their mobile phone. But, regardless, it's just the case that, yeah, stuff can be redacted. But if people know what's been redacted, they'll remember what's been redacted. And if Konami do try to make another Metal Gear game on the scale of a Metal Gear Solid, or even try to use the license for whatever, and don't treat it with the respect that it deserves, that Kojima obviously did. You know, if you look at it, there was like a year or 2 years gap between Metal Gear 1 and Metal Gear 2. Then there was 7 years till 7 years till Metal Gear Solid 1. Another 4, I think, until Metal Gear Solid 2. Then I think it was 3 or 4 for no, I think it was actually 3 for Metal Gear Solid 3. And then 2008 was Metal Gear Solid 4. So it's a 3-year cycle. But that, you know, since Metal Gear Solid 4, if you don't count Rising with Vengeance, which was sort of a sub-project which Kojima was involved with, but not massively, the last 7 years has been about making Metal Gear Solid 5. To some extent. Finishing the finishing the storyline for all that we know. That's a lot of things that have been made right every single time. So, yeah, Hideo Kojima. That's all you need to remember. Remember what they're taking out. Because you'll remember it when the next one with Hideo taken out. And I don't mean, you know, what I'm saying is, if there is another Metal Gear project that doesn't involve Kojima, the first criticism, if it's a bad thing, you know what the first criticism will be. It didn't involve Hideo Kojima. I doubt Konami's listening, or even caring, but penny for your thoughts.